Hi, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Live Coaching. I am sending you a very magical welcome from the happiest place on earth. I am at Epcot. We actually went to Hollywood Studios this morning. We're going to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom the rest of the week, and I have lots more things to tweet out from my adventures. But I wanted to let you guys know that you should especially pay attention to the things that I'm sending out. They may come in useful later. So that's my big news drop. I'm also hiding a flag right here, right now. So during any NCL competition, you might be told to go back and find the one live coaching video where I hit a flag. So that flag is, and if John or Jeana can stick it in the chat because I can't type, it is NCL-KAIT-1174. That's NCL-KAIT-11. Did I say 74? I don't know. I made it up literally just now.
You did say 74.
Cool. So that flag is now hidden in this video, and if you were watching this video, who knows? We could use it this season. We could use it next season. We could use it in 10 years and expect you to find it. But there is now a flag hidden in this very magical Epcot video. Honestly, guys, look how pretty this is. Happiest place on earth, happiest Kate on earth. And I now leave you in the very capable hands of John and Jeana to talk about wireless access exploitation. I will say that there have been many open Wi-Fi hotspots at Epcot, and guys, don't do that. Don't sign up for those. Don't click those. That's my pro tip for this Thursday night live coaching video. I can't see the chat, so I'm going to assume you guys don't have any questions for me. John, Jeana, is there anything I need to do before I leave?
No, everybody's just saying hello, so I think you're good.
Okay, please enjoy these fantastic people as they teach you all kinds of cool stuff. I'm going to miss it, but I will be back on later tonight to watch and get caught up. Like I said, there's now a flag hidden in this video. But I'm hiding so many flags all throughout Disney, like, who knows? So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you pay attention, and we'll see you guys soon. Happy hacking.
Bye,
I don't know how to get out, so I don't know what's going to happen right now. Can you kick me out?
Sure. Okay, great.
Man.
Our one and only Crypto Kate, right? Only she would take time out of her vacation to do something like this, you know. But yeah, welcome to Thursday night, coaching session. This is going to be our last coaching session that deals directly with content. So everything from here on is going to be actual coaching tips, how to run your teams, how to, reward and, set up, a program, all the information that you would need as an actual coach. So you may have to come back to these content sessions, as I'm calling them officially right now. Come back to these content sessions later if you're in the games and you get stuck. So that's kind of our goal. I want to call your attention to a couple things real quick. There is a big green button at the bottom of your screen that says check out Kate's blog. That will take you directly to the session that is attached to this the blog that's attached to this session that we are broadcasting right now. The second thing is there is a ask a question link down there. And if you ask a question in that, then not only does it pop the question up so that we know that there is a question that we can answer, but also you can bookmark that particular moment by using the clip moment on the far left side of your screen, and it will answer just your question, and you can bookmark that and go back to it later. I did throw a poll out there just to get an idea of where everybody's at. So, explore, the Crowdcast platform a little bit. It's got a few new tools that we're trying to make sure everybody knows about. And yeah, without any further ado, I'm just going to go right into it. So we have wireless access. What exactly is that about?
So what is wireless access? So for me, when I was starting, I was like, I have no idea what this is. This packet looks scary, but all wireless access is just exploiting vulnerabilities within a wireless connection to kind of like stop whatever connection's happening. So with the way NCL does wireless access exploitation, we're not actually, exploiting any wireless networks ourselves. We're just examining packet captures to see what happened. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be sharing my screen tonight. We all know that every time I come on here, it's raining, my Wi-Fi is bad, it's always something, and of course it's raining today because it only rains on Thursdays in New York anymore. So I'm just going to kind of talk you through kind of the general way that we would do this kind of a challenge. So
the first question is this going to be recorded? So I think that would be a great one to answer now.
Yeah, so these are always recorded. You can find them at the same link. If you're not sure how to get to them, you can just go onto crowdcast.io and then look for us. I think there's probably a search somewhere. Just look for National Cyber League, and there's a repository with all of the videos. So it's pretty easy to find them. And if that isn't working, go on NCL's Twitter. There are always links. Go on one of our Twitters. We share the links every week. You'll find them. So,
and we now have a new redesign of our website.
Yes.
So if you go into, for example, you can browse directly to Wireless Access Exploitation, and it will have a link to this video on it, in addition to a link to the blog and any prior sessions that we may have done before. So it's going to be kind of a chronology as we go forward to document all the things our player ambassadors are doing. So yeah, definitely go to CryptoKate's website, and you should be able to link to all of these videos from there. Or if you're using this link right now and bookmark it, then when you come back, you'll be able to actually see it right here. So, okay. Next question is the Hacker's Playbook a good resource?
I haven't used that. John, have you?
So I think I have. I think he's talking about the Web Application Hacker's Handbook, and absolutely that is. I'm not 100% sure, but that Hacker's Playbook, the web one, it's a great resource, but not for what we're talking about tonight. So Zechariah, if you could maybe clarify a little bit what I'm not familiar with the book you're asking about. But if you could drop a link in there or something, then I'll take a look at it and see if I've ever used it before. So I'm just going to leave that question open until we get a little bit more information there. Then the next thing is, do you offer closed captions for the hearing impaired? It's interesting. I'm going to field that one if you don't mind, real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we just had a conversation actually about that. So our videos are not getting captioned automatically. So we are looking at a separate resource to do that for us. And so going forward, there should be closed captionings on all of our videos. And I forgot to start answering that. There we go. So yes, the answer is we will have closed captions, but not live and not until after we've sent them off to the service, they've been captioned, and then come back to us so that we can get them posted up. So that question is from Steve Whitlow, and hopefully that answers your question.
There are actually captions on the ones that are on Facebook, the old ones. So if you do want to go there and see those videos, some of them do have captions. I think they might be auto-generated captions because they're not always the best. But if you are hearing impaired, there's a little bit of help with the Facebook ones. Unfortunately, these ones are not captioned yet, but hopefully in the future they will be. Hopefully we'll have a faster turnaround on that for next season, and we'll have it set up by then so that it's happening every week. But these ones, hopefully maybe when the season ends, we'll have them all captioned, but definitely want to do that in the future.
Great, thank you. And next question comes to us from Nantha Balansankar. I apologize if I butchered your name there, but the question is the Cyber League is about offensive or defensive only, attack only? So basically, I guess what we're asking here is Cyber League about offense or defense, or both, or a mix?
I always mix up the words offense and defense. I think because I never learned football,
so offensive security would be breaking into networks or something like that. Defensive would be more hardening your servers so that people can't get in. That kind of
It's
thing.
kind of neither, I think. I feel like CTFs are not necessarily about offensive or defensive security. Do you agree?
I think there's definitely skills in both.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely if you were wanting to get into red teaming / pin testing, some of the scanning and enumeration, and even using some of the tools that we'll be using tonight can definitely be used offensively. But I think
to find it as either, I don't think makes sense.
I think part of the whole point of the National Cyber League is to get exposure to all the different, both offensive and defensive tactics that makes you a better security person in general, whether you want to go red or blue, either one.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. A couple more questions. I'm going to put a pin in for right now because we're going to go ahead and get into your presentation. Before they get started, however, where is the capture file for what we're doing tonight?
I'm actually not giving you guys that because I don't know if I was allowed to use it in the first place. So sorry about that. You're just going to have to deal with the screenshots. When the gymnasium opens, you guys can test out all of the skills we've been giving you these last however many weeks, 8 weeks, 7 weeks. When the gymnasium opens, like free for all, go for it. But I'm not supplying you with any packet captures because I'd probably get in a ton of trouble. So that's where we stand on that. That is my answer. You're not getting it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the question also, Brandon. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into, what is it that, your blog is all about this week?
Yeah, so wireless access exploitation. So I'm going to talk about how we can recognize that this packet capture is different from the type of packet capture that John spoke about a few weeks ago with network traffic analysis. So it's totally different. You can look at it. So this is what intimidated me about wireless access exploitation at first. The first time I opened one of these packet captures, I was like, there's no information in here. What is this? This doesn't make sense. So I was like, okay, how do I figure this out? So when you open it, it kind of looks empty, So when you open it, the first line is almost always the SSID, which is they almost always ask it. I think they always ask it. So easy right off the bat, you'll probably see it right when you get in. And then the only packet you'll need to expand is that first one because it'll also tell you the channel that it's on. So with the example that I gave, it was on channel 11. It's always some random number channel, whatever it may be. And you just expand until you find it. Those are the two easiest questions probably, I would say.
Okay. So they give us a packet capture, and we basically have a couple questions like channel and BSSID or something like that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then what's next after that?
So after that, you have to figure out, usually most of the time they'll ask you the MAC address of the attacker and then the MAC address of the victim. So the way you can figure that out is if you scroll further down in this packet capture, you'll see a bunch of lines of one particular MAC address getting deauthenticated. And then if you keep scrolling, you see the interaction with the other MAC address and it says authenticated. So when something's being deauthenticated, it actually asks you, it doesn't just say, what's the MAC address of the victim? It says, what's the MAC address of the victim that's being deauthenticated? So easy points right there. So much easier than it looks just by looking at the packet capture from first open, especially if you've never seen any of it before. So
why do we care about deauthentication? Why is that a red flag for us?
It means that somebody was kind of kicked off of their network. They don't have access to it. Somebody hacked in and took them out. Right.
So really what we're doing here is kicking people off their network so that when they re-authenticate, then we can capture that in transit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then let's see. You went into on your blog, you went into a little bit of that using a cracking tool.
Yeah, so that was more so for getting that password. So they always ask for the password. So with this, you're going to want to use Aircrack-ng, and that's preloaded onto Kali, so you don't have to worry about downloading anything. You can, I think there's a download for Windows if you go on Aircrack's website, but if you have your VM, you should have your VM set up by now. That was what our second
I think so.
Come on, have it set up by now. really, if you've gotten this far into our coaching sessions and you haven't had your VM yet, I don't know what you're doing, but
well, yeah, and I honestly, a lot of the challenges you can do without having Kali. For example, you can use Cloud
it's
Shark
true.
or the included tools, but I just don't see very many ways that you can do this challenge without having Aircrack or some sort of a tool, right?
Which is why I didn't know how to do it for so long, because my first 2 seasons I didn't have a Kali set up. Didn't realize I should have had a Kali set up. I was a coach my 3rd season, so tell me how that happened. I don't know. But
well, you learned quick, I guess.
yeah, I did. Kate just never realized when she was my coach that I didn't have a Kali set up. I like missed that practice or something, and I just never had one. But that was also on my very old laptop that I probably could not have even downloaded a VM on anyway. So it is what it is. I have one now.
So let's go ahead and go to a couple questions here. The first one would be, how do you crack a difficult password? And that question comes to us from Nick.
So it depends on what they're asking for. So to actually crack the password, I'm going to put kind of somewhat of a command in there. So it would be that like aircrack -ng. That should probably have a dash before it, right? And then, so for the most part, when you're cracking passwords for NCL, you're going to use that -a command. And then depending on what they're asking, so if they're just asking for the hex, you just need the -1 command because you don't need that cracked version. But for something like this, you're going to need the A2 command, and then you would put in, you know, word list .text, and then, you know, file .capture.
So when you're talking about putting an A
like
flag in there, okay, yeah, there you go. So that that A2, I've messed with that before. I think one year I had to do an A50, and what that is you're kind of adding fuzzing to the password list so that you can catch those close but not quite passwords that are in there. And so that's definitely how definitely a great way to crack those difficult passwords. Also in the comments here, I see that people are mentioning Cruncher and Johnny. So those are a couple more tools that you can check out for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. Is the wireless network, I'm sorry, this question comes from Jonathan Lanning. Is the wireless network a WEP/WPA/WPA2?
Or do I don't see this question. Oh, is the wireless network? So it depends on what they're asking. So for the one that I sampled in my blog, it was just WEP. So you can tell kind of by the question that they ask. So the way that Aircrack is set, somebody actually just said it. Adam actually just said it in the comments. He says this is all done in Aircrack. It's set up for WEP and WPA cracking already. So there's your answer.
Right.
So that
and you won't necessarily know what type of encryption it uses until you try to crack it, right?
Yeah. So that -1 means WEP, and the -2, like the A's, is WPA. So if you actually, let me pull up this. Let me copy this image. Can you put images in the chat without it breaking? I'm scared. Let me share my screen really quick, actually.
Okay.
Share. Let's look. Here we go. Share. So if you take a look at this, so it says this -A mode, force attack mode, W's 1/WP, 2/WPA-PSK. So when you actually run this command, it won't let you run it without having a 1 or a 2 next to the A, or having you can also just write out WP or WPA. So when you use this, you'll always have to have 1 or 2 in that. And this. So for the input files, I actually forgot to mention it in my blog, and I might edit to.
Looks like we've hit some comments that we might have broken it. So
break it. What I do? Let me stop sharing.
We're getting some comments. Yeah, that looks like it got broken. So
Uh-oh. Sorry.
so
Oops.
yeah. Accidentally the whole stream refresher. Okay, yeah, so we might have to refresh after that. So okay, we won't be doing that again. But
not allowed to share.
if you go into the Aircrack tool, then you were showing how to bring up the help file that has all those flags in it. I noticed that I was actually wrong when I said it was -A was for the fuzzing effect. It's actually for whether it's a WEP or WPA. So yeah, I don't remember what the flag was, but I often don't. And I have to go to those help files and look up those commands, or I have them scripted, so kind of cheat that way.
I also just realized I made a mistake in the command I put before. So when you are using a word list and you want to do -A2, you also have to have a W, so it indicates that you're also adding a word list in there. Just a quick note. I'll recopy that and put the little W. And also one more thing to make sure of, which I was just saying I forgot to put in the blog post, but when you're putting in the file name for the packet capture, make sure there are no spaces in that title. And NCL will do this a lot where they'll put spaces in the title of the packet capture. Always edit it and make sure there are no spaces, because it'll just not work. The command won't work. It'll just try the first part and then it'll try the second part, and then it can't find either because neither of those are the right name for the capture. So
that's a pro tip
make
right
sure
there.
There's no space in there. I've made that mistake so many times.
Yeah, that's a pro tip born from experience.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it is.
Let's see. I have a question that's getting a lot of attention here. Do you have a suggested word list that you use?
Always first try when you're trying to crack a password. Always use RockU. 90% of the time, Cyber Skyline would use the RockU word list. Even for any other random challenge, if you need a password somewhere, like RockU should always be your first attempt. And if RockU doesn't work, there are other word lists loaded into Kali that you kind of have to, go through some files and find. But there are other word lists in there. So like whatever you can find, try it. It's RockU's your safest bet. For the difficult challenge, it probably won't be RockU, and you'll have to go in and find those other word lists. So there's another tool in actually that might not be the same. But yeah, there are other word lists. I don't remember how to find them, but explore, do an ls command in Kali, and I think you'll probably be able to find that. Maybe. Am I saying the right command? I can't remember anything anymore.
That's why you write these things down, right?
Is my accent that bad that somebody thought I was saying Raku?
Well, I don't know. Okay, so thank you, Dylan, for the question there, and hopefully that answers
thank you,
that.
Fred, for that.
For the
that little tip.
So that's in your Linux directory under user share. That's where all your word lists are. You can also use dictionary there and just do a basic dictionary attack. But yeah, RockU, it's actually part of another package which is called SecLists. And this is I don't have the direct link for it right now, but if you look on GitHub, you can find that, or just do a basic install SecList, and it's in the repo, so it'll pull it for you, and that'll install RockU and several other dictionaries for you. Okay, so you mentioned deauthentication, and we have a question here from Patricia Curry. How do you kick people off of their network?
I don't know all that stuff. John, do you know? Because I don't actually know how to hack into somebody's Wi-Fi. I am not that skilled. I am a beginner here.
Yeah, so what you're going to do is you're actually just going to flood the network with deauthentication packets, and it's going to drop everybody off, not just like one individual person, but basically you're just flooding that network, and then it causes everybody to drop off, and when they come back on. Now, I do want to mention, and this is really kind of key because we are playing with red team tools here, that is the line, right? That's the line where it becomes illegal. Yeah. It's not necessarily illegal to look at a person's, SSID because it's broadcast everywhere. You can absolutely see that. But when you start kicking people off their network, that's actually technically a denial of service, and you've crossed the line now into that gray area where it could be illegal. So while you're practicing this stuff, practice it on a an old WRT54 router or something like that. Just don't attack your neighbor's wireless and deauthenticate.
Bad idea. Definitely bad idea.
I mean,
and you also don't need to know that for the competition, so
right. That's not a skill that we
don't necessarily need to worry about that.
Right. Thank you for the question, Patricia. All right. Let's see. Do you have any recommendation for a beginner Wi-Fi scanner?
No.
No? Okay. So it kind of depends. I personally have one on my phone. So when you join into a wireless network, you can actually run the app. And let me see what it's called. I think it's called Fing, F-I-N-G. But just let me double check that here real quick.
I might have had that at one point.
Yeah, Fing, F-I-N-G. And so when you attach to a wireless network, then you can scan everything on that network using Fing. There's a couple other ones that you could use as far as I guess we used to call it war driving, right? Where you are just kind of enumerating all the networks around you. Again, that's not necessarily illegal because, it's being broadcast everywhere. So you can kind of look at all the SSIDs in your area. And there are some tools there that will kind of enumerate that for you, and they will let you see the signal strength and what channel they're broadcasting on and that kind of stuff. We're talking about Wi-Fi analyzer. And then someone actually mentioned Loken actually mentions Weigel. That's when you're going to put a thumbtack in. Weigel is something that has come to the rescue before on some of the NCL challenges. So
definitely put a tag in that one. Good call, Loken.
Yeah, definitely. So
definitely used that before.
All righty. All right, and Zachariah, if you're still on, if you could just add a comment onto what the Hacker's Playbook is, then I'll pull it up in a browser and take a look at it, see if I've ever worked with it before. I've got a lot of books, so I'm not sure if I've ever used it before. But usually, if I look directly at the cover, I know if I read it before. So, okay, great. So. See here, we're pretty much done with some questions here. Let's go to a poll real quick. Looks like we have 21 people that are self-confessing as being a complete noob in this area. About 12 people have some exposure to it, and then 5 people kind of war drive for fun. They do this on their own. Doesn't look like we have any self-proclaimed experts in the audience. And we're actually getting a few more. I don't know. Looks like someone's just kind of going back and forth. They're not sure if they're a noob or some exposure, but yeah. So that kind of gives us an idea of where we're coming from. So we've talked about a lot of terms here. We talked about just like SSIDs and channels. I want to make sure that, because we are working with about 20 people in the audience right now that are really new to this stuff, that we're not just glazing over that basic vocabulary. So I guess if you guys have questions about any of the vocabulary we've used, any of the terms or terminologies that we've used, go ahead and drop those in the question section also. And I'd be happy to kind of expand on those and tell you what we're talking about. Okay, let's see here. I got a link now for the Hacker Playbook, so I'm going to go ahead and open that guy up. Okay. I have seen this book before. I've not actually used it. This is a book by Peter Kim, and the link is there in the chat window if anyone wants to take a look at it. It looks like it's a 2014. That would be the first thing I'd look at to see if there's a more up-to-date version. 5 years is a long time in technology.
There are actually, from what I can tell in that link, there are at least two more versions after that. I'm seeing Playbook 2 and Playbook 3. So you'd probably be better off getting the most recent one.
So there is some value to going backward and seeing those first books. Just know that some stuff's changed, right? There's a someone mentions using the man page for Aircrack-ng. The documentation is actually really good on that. And then Rob also mentions that they do have book 2 and 3. It looks like you wanted all three of them, it's going to cost you about $77. So,
or if you want the e-versions, they're only 15.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably the way to go then. I think I saw these once in a Humble Bundle, or possibly one of those type of book bundles. So I've definitely seen the cover before, but I don't remember ever actually reading through it. So I can't answer that question, unfortunately, for Zechariah.
I can tell they have pretty good reviews. So if it's something you're looking into, it's probably a good bet. They all have mostly 5-star reviews. So always look, anything you're buying, just always look at reviews.
Okay. Have a couple more questions flowing in. Here's a good question. Is the Red Team Field Manual worth the buy? Now, that one absolutely I have used. The RTFM is definitely popular in red teaming circles. When I went to Pros versus Joe's up in B-Sides DC, we all had a copy of it, before the competition, and it just gives you so much insight. I definitely think that the Red Team Field Manual is absolutely worth the buy, Tim.
I have the Blue Team Field Manual. I don't think I've
Oh, that's also fantastic.
much. Kate and I both actually won one at the last WESIS.
The Blue Team Field Manual is just as good. If you're ever doing like a CCDC type competition or whatever, those books are great for that. I don't think you're probably going to use them too much in National Cyber League because it's not set up as a red versus blue type event.
I don't see it in there. I think I know where it is though.
I've seen, I think it'd be really appropriate for like a Cyber Patriot kind of team, or in some sort of a defensive only type competition. So yeah, and yes, the reviews of the sugar-free Haribos on Amazon are pristine. Look up the banana slicer. That one also is a great one. And then if you want to really just crack up at like some reviews, there is a 3-wolf moon or 2-wolf moon shirt, something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but that one is hilarious. So yeah, we're way off topic, but thanks, Adam, for adding a little humor to the
manual. This actually has some pretty good stuff in it. I've taken a look at it a couple times, but not enough, considering I've had it since March. But it definitely gives you a lot of tools in here. First thing I see, network capture, PCAP tools. So like, these are definitely good options if you're looking for something small. That'll give you some helpful options for tools and things like that.
Okay, so I got another question here coming from Michael Hallman. And it says, if I'm up to date on the information, the NCL competition is big on finding flags via packet sniffing by filtering ARPs and ICMPs via follow streams. Would you agree with that?
I think I'd agree with that. That's a lot of what this is and what NTA is, in my opinion. Do you agree with it? I feel like that's definitely...
Yeah, that's definitely more directed toward network traffic analysis, which we covered last week or a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And but yes, there is a lot of filtering and Wireshark going through that kind of stuff. You're not going to be required to actually sniff a network. It's going to be given to you that someone's already done a packet sniff and saved it for you as a packet capture file. So you will need to get really good at kind of filtering through and looking for the flags. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Thanks for the question there. Okay, how about any good short on-point video tutorials that go over penetration testing? I would like to actually throw out a one here if you don't mind. So I've been watching the Cyber Mentor, and he is really, really great on penetration testing, especially he's doing like a wireless penetration thing. And, I have not got his permission to throw his name out here, but I'm not sure that he would probably mind if it drives more traffic.
Likes the free promo, yeah.
Yeah, so just a free promo there, Cyber Mentor, he does some live sessions where you can just ask him questions. And I found that series was worth every minute that I watched. Do you have anything else on?
I don't really watch videos on this stuff. I really should get into that. I feel like in the past I've found that like not everything is always beginner level in those types of videos. So I've been kind of like weary about like trying to find any. But apparently Cyber Mentor is great because somebody got really excited about it in the chat.
Yeah, I really like Cyber Mentor. And then there's a couple other ones, around for sure. I like some of the videos that are put out in association with bug bounty testing. They usually give you a pretty good idea of like what their methodology is and how they got to the bug, which is one of those things that we're looking for. Someone mentioned NayhemSec. That's a great series. So NayhemSec, unfortunately, is running into a little bit of problems on Twitter that they are banning his videos for promoting hacking, and you're seeing that more and more on like YouTube, and I think Facebook has demonetized or delisted some people because they're going through these educational videos. So unfortunately we need a better platform, I think, to where we can put these videos up and they're not going to get stripped down. Mm-hmm. But if you can get to NayhemSec's videos, they're great. And then IPSec, someone talks about IPSec. I've got a couple of his I'm not sure I'm not sure. I've seen the name before. I can't off the top of my head conjure the face. Let's see. There's a link in the window here from Rob. Not sure. It says how they got hacked. I'm not sure what that is. But there is a very good blog write-up that says how I hacked your network before lunch. Something to that effect. If you look that up, it's a really good in-depth, hey, these are the basic vulnerabilities that we see over and over again. And, how we got into your network before lunch. I think it's a pretty good, okay. So how they got hacked, that's actually a show, Rob says, and it comes out on every Friday. I'll have to look that up. Thanks for the link on that one. Let's see. And then, Angela's also talking about YouTube cracking down on vloggers, copyrights, all kinds of stuff like that going on right now. Okay, so we've got a couple questions left. Let's see. What is the focus of the competition, and what is the targeted demographic if there is one? That question comes to us from Linda.
So, I mean, the focus of the competition has always just really been learn as much as you can in this like time frame that we give you to like figure all of this stuff out, which is why we've like all grown to love it so much, because it doesn't feel like we're being pressured to do it. We've all like chosen to be a part of this competition and learn, and that really is the focus. There's no like one particular, it focuses more on this, it focuses more on that. It's just learn what you can and have fun doing it. And then, like, the target demographic, NCL is really only for students, so students.
Good download software for YouTube capture. I think I've used, what is it? YouTube.be. It's just like spelling YouTube out, but you put a dot right before the B and E. And I've used that site to grab videos off of YouTube before. I'm not sure if that's.
We had one like so long ago that it was probably like 3 laptops ago, and I probably gave my laptop a virus, so I'm not recommending anything. I think I was 13. It's fine.
All right, cool. So we've gotten through 13 questions so far. Let's see, where are we at? We need some more viewers. You guys need to share this link out, get some more people in there. We're up to 72, but that's nowhere even close to Kate's
think we
record.
did that good of a job of promoting ourselves this week.
Yeah,
it's fine. Life is busy.
Maybe it's because we don't have Crypto Kate here, or Privacy Clipper, That's probably what they come for, is Privacy
Clipper. They definitely come for Jeana. 110%.
All right, so getting back into wireless exploit. So what was the hardest question you say you ever kind of struggled with in wireless access?
The hardest. If I can remember any of the questions. Let me take a look at something. 1 second.
While you're looking that up, I can definitely remember what mine was. And, it was basically there was a rogue access point and you had to find the rogue access point. I think it might have been like in one of my first seasons, and I didn't know at all what I was looking for. So I think I killed my accuracy on that, just guessing left and right, until I finally jammed it in there. And then after I figured it out, I'm like, oh, well, that was obvious, So this is, again, one of those categories that I think people sometimes lose accuracy on. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, because you kind of you'll think you have the answer, and then you're like, wait a minute, that's not it.
So double check your answers. That is the pro tip for this one.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got a couple more
I
comments
definitely
here.
in the past have had trouble. It is really hard to find the password, the wireless password sometimes.
Right. Trying to crack that wireless.
Yeah, it's not always.
I've had to run through it a couple times because it said it didn't have enough, IV points to get the password.
Definitely not finding it in hex, easy. That'll take 2 seconds. Actually cracking the password is probably one of the most difficult things you'll do with wireless access exploitation. It a lot of the time doesn't work. I've definitely, had games where I didn't get the password at all, and that just happens. And honestly, I've only known how to do wireless access exploitation for 2 seasons, so I don't have all the experience with it. But
so there's a couple of questions going on about in the comment section about VMs and how you're connected on Wi-Fi. So why does it show a direct connection? If you go back to my virtual machine lesson, where we talked about setting up those virtual machines, I talked about how you can set it up as a bridged or a NATed type connection. So when you're setting up that virtual machine, you actually have to select what kind of adapter you're going to use, whether it's bridge, which means it actually kind of mixes your traffic in with the host computer, or whether you want it on its own complete separate NAT. So, it without knowing exactly how you set up your VM, but that is where it is. It's in your settings on your VM and why it's not doing it. I think, Sean, you actually kind of answered my question also the same way. But yeah, thanks for the assist there. And actually, looks like we're getting a lot of people jumping in to help out. So always appreciate that. Okay, so let's see here. Got a couple questions again. Let's see. In terms of password hashes, will there be salts?
This would have been a question for last week's show, but yes, right?
Yeah,
we've done it before.
Yeah, I've definitely seen salts before.
Definitely done it before. There's definitely been questions where it's here's this word, go find the salt of it. There's always at least one challenge with salts. So
I remember when they didn't have salts, and I remember that there was kind of a big thing on the NCL Slack. If you're not part of the Slack channel, by the way,
yes.
During the competition, definitely subscribe to that Slack channel. Mm-hmm. Because they talk about a lot of stuff in there, and if they have to update a challenge because it is a little vague or whatever, then they'll let you know first in Slack. So I would definitely check Slack, and then there's a channel that they open up at the end of the competition where they get feedback and they talk about how they serve different challenges. And one of the things that someone mentioned is, hey, these passwords challenges are very repetitious. Can we get some salts next time? And sure enough, next time we had salts. Yeah. So
if you ask for it and it's something that's more difficult, Franz and Toby will do it. Don't test them, they're like, oh, you want this to be harder? We'll make it harder.
Yeah. So great question. All right. Our next question comes from Linda, and she would like you to walk through more of the process of exploiting wireless access and what type of questions will be asked during the competition.
So if you take a look at that blog post, you'll see the questions that are in there. Those are for the easy challenges. Let me look at kind of my repository that I've saved of some of the harder ones. I mean, actually, every challenge is all the same questions, but as you move through the different levels of the the questions they ask, and they're asking the same thing. It's just harder to see it. It's harder to find it. So it's kind of just like running, like figuring out what commands to use, and you kind of have to do that, challenge by challenge. I can't sit here and go through every single command that you'll have to go to, because it changes for every single, you know what I mean? It changes for every capture. So
yeah, I will say that the questions that are in the gymnasium, that is really a lot like the kind of questions that you can expect, during the actual season. So once you get access to that gymnasium, don't wait. Just go ahead and jump into it and start working through those challenges. And, that'll give you a really good base to work from. I know that without the gym, my first year, I would have been completely lost.
Same.
And so, jump on that gym as soon as you get access to it.
And also a great thing about the gym is that for all of the challenges, there's a little thing, like the solution box. And if you click it, it's like a document that kind of teaches you a few commands and things like that, that'll show you how to do the challenge. And that goes for not just this topic, for any topic they have a solutions thing that kind of will walk you through it. And they're not always super detailed, because they don't want to be super detailed. They don't want you to be able to figure out every single thing. And sometimes they'll give you half directions, which I've noticed. They do that a lot with the web application exploitation ones, which unfortunately we're not going to be doing a coaching session on, because I don't know that any of us are fantastic at it. I know I'm not. I tried to. I got a little bit better at it my last couple of seasons. I learned a little bit for that stuff, but it's not something I'd be able to coach anybody else through. So definitely read through the solutions on each of the challenges. If it's something you're really having trouble with, 100% take a look at those, because it'll help you so much. And then Rob in the comments also said, definitely read the challenges. They have clues in the descriptions. Yes. Make sure you're reading every single instruction they give you, because sometimes you don't even realize that they told you exactly what word list to use, or, what
even the name of the challenge, right?
Yeah. And it's amazing sometimes. And then you'll be stuck on it for a while, and then you'll go back and look, and you're like, wow, they told me right there. Am I blind? I've definitely done that before.
Yeah, the name of the challenge gave one away for me, and I felt so dumb afterwards. I was like, it was right there staring me in the face, right?
Always.
Looks like we might have lost some people on what salts are. So maybe we could go into a little bit more detail on that one. So a salt is basically, I guess I need to explain what a rainbow table is. A rainbow table has a hash of every possible password that is in that key space, right? So what a salt does is it adds a unique number to increase the complexity without making the user jump through hoops to make a more difficult password. And then it kind of takes that whole rainbow table attack out of it, so that it creates a completely unique value without actually making the password harder to remember. Is that pretty good? Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
Okay. I'm going to mark that one for you, Patricia, as done.
I also saw somebody said something. Someone asked for the link for the NCL Slack. So if you are already registered, so you can't get access to the NCL Slack until you're registered for the competition. So it doesn't make sense for us to just send you the link. If you're already registered, you can log into your Cyber Skyline account, and at the top there's a bar that says, a link. It's the link to the Slack page. You'll see it. And then you go from there and you join in with the same email that you use to. It might not have to be the same email, but yeah, you join like that, and you won't get access to that unless you're already registered. So.
And I have another question here, which the questions are getting a little off of wireless access, and that's fine. We love to answer questions. So the first question was actually EG and talking about running Kali Linux from an SD card. I've done this. I mean, I had zero performance issues with it. I used a little flash, card because the laptop that I had, the hard drive crashed on it. And I didn't, I couldn't run out to a Best Buy and take time away from the competition. So I loaded Kali up on a flash drive, popped it in there, booted right from it. And yeah, I can say that it was just as fast as a hard drive. I had no access issues. It was, just as easy. So yes, you can absolutely run Kali from a flash or an SD card, or even a USB stick. There's a Kali Live from USB that you can run. Now I have run Kali Live from the CD before. That's a little laggy, but that's about that's not the optimal setup for sure. And with USB sticks being as cheap as they are, that's probably the most popular method. Then a question for you comes from Daniel Amadon. What if you have a little to no experience with anything in the NCL? Can you still get through it?
Absolutely. That's kind of how we all started. Like everyone on our ambassador team, we all started not knowing what the heck we were doing. You've all heard Kate's story 100 times. She didn't even know how to log into her computer in her computer lab. Thought Alt Control Delete was one button. We all have a base that we start from, and the important thing is just try as hard as you can and you will learn something. If you've learned one thing during the competition, you're successful, you're succeeding. So don't be discouraged if you feel you're not doing well, because as long as you're learning, that's all that really matters. Your rank doesn't matter. As long as you're improving, that's all that you should care about.
You can get them next season,
Exactly.
I remember there were 2 seasons, and both of them I got shut out of the top 100. And just by a couple places, and there I was sitting in the top 100, on the screen all the way until the last hour, and everyone just starts spamming answers, and I just got wiped out off the top 100, and I was just so frustrated.
That's the hard part.
Every single time
save answers until the very end.
Yeah. Every time I do this, I get a little bit better.
You drop 10. It's just drop 10 ranks, and you're like, what the hell? How did that happen?
Definitely. Yeah, it's a little frustrating to see yourself fall off the list like that. But
definitely,
you get better every single time that you do this. Yeah, you get better every time that you do this, and I keep a log. It's just a Word pad document, of stuff I didn't know this NCL. And then I just go through, and if I didn't know it at the end, I ask people, hey, how did you solve this? And I write it down in my little log. And that way, next time when I do NCL, I've got, a list of all the stuff I should have known, but I didn't. So some of it just comes through experience running through the games. And looks like we ran through all of our questions.
Yeah. And I do see a comment from Iman saying that he's frustrated that the only coaching they got from the session is the use of Aircrack-ng. That really is kind of the only thing you need for wireless access exploitation. That's kind of the best tool to use. I don't even really know of any other tools. I'm sorry that I didn't get a lot out of this, but
yeah. So honestly, Aircrack-ng was about all I needed for the games. It's a pretty light on tools kind of category. It does just ask a lot of stuff about wireless. So if you know what a MAC address is, and know how to look up an IP address, or go into a packet capture, and you can look at the number of packets to and from a computer, look at your endpoints, look at it's just a lot of navigation stuff. So other than Wireshark and Aircrack, you're not going to need a whole lot of tools for this section. It's going to be based on your knowledge of wireless and how it works.
Absolutely. And Brian, you asked if we can screen share Aircrack. I tried to screen share some of the commands before from the blog, and it broke. So if you want to take a look at the blog, there are screenshots of Aircrack, and it's going to look exactly like that for everybody. So
and like someone said before, there's a man page for Aircrack that gives you all the switches and everything. It's such a very popular tool that you can pretty much just hit any browser search and be able to find sample examples of how to use it, that kind of thing.
I'm going to post a link to Aircrack-ng's website, so if you guys want some more information about it, you can go there.
NCL players, turn to gym. So the gym gives you one other advantage, and someone kind of brought it up here. When you're in the gym, you can talk about challenges, and once you're in the games, you can't. So definitely use the gym to try to learn, but if you get stuck, then there's no reason to be stuck. Just start asking questions. People will help you because, that's not against the rules there. So let's see.
And Dr. Berto also said there's a Windows download for Aircrack-ng, which there is. And maybe be aware that Aircrack-ng's website is not a secure website. Just be a little careful. I'd say just use your VM. That's kind of your best bet. I think mostly everybody has a VM set up by now. Definitely be careful about downloading anything from a not secure website. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, it looks like we got another question popped in. How do you use Aircrack? Just a real quick rundown. So I know that you kind of covered this a little bit earlier, but if you don't mind just kind of going through it, again, keeping in mind that according to our poll, 56, roughly 56% of our audience is really new to this. So
with Aircrack, if you open it up on Kali without even just you can without just opening up your command, you can go into there's all the folders within your Kali, and you can select which application. So if you select Aircrack, it'll give you that help page automatically. So, and it'll give you this rundown of all the commands. So for our use, for NCL's use of it, you're mostly really just going to need that -a command. So, and that'll get you the password that you need. So if it's something like the challenge that we did, you'll just need this -a1 command, and then the file.cap. I'm going to put that in the, so it'd be here, sorry, let me correct that, Aircrack-ng, and then A1 file.cap.
So this is basically a command line tool, right?
Yeah, it's a command line tool. So, and then if you need the password, it would be, it would be something like this: Aircrack-ng-A2W. What I like about command line, you don't need to have space -W. You can do that and it'll still work, but like this, you just couldn't have everything. And then you would do word list .text. It might have to be the path file, but I'm not sure. And then you would have file.cap. And like I said earlier, always make sure NCL likes to give you file names with spaces in them. Aircrack won't work. So always make sure you edit the title of the file, the name of the file, if it does have a space in it, to have no spaces, because Aircrack gets wildly confused. So that's kind of all there really is to our use of Aircrack.
Yeah, once you start it running, that tool runs itself. Once you give it the right, inputs, then it just goes off and starts cracking. It's a very easy tool to use.
You'll know immediately if it's not the right command if you entered something in wrong, because it gives you that error message right away. It's not like it tries to find something and it goes through its process and then tells you it's wrong. It tells you right away when the command's wrong, which is why I enjoy Aircrack. And then Jonathan asks if quotes work around a file name. I'm actually not sure. Probably not. Aircrack's weird with. What do you think, John? Do you know? Because I'm not sure.
I usually just edit the file so it doesn't have spaces. So
yeah.
You probably could use single quotes or double quotes, or there might be a trick to using it that I'm not sure. But just the easiest way. Easiest way to just edit the file name. Okay, so we have another question coming in here from Dr. Roberto. Thanks for coming back every week. We love to see you here. And he says, I understand that it's okay to share wisdom with a fellow NCL player on the NCL gym regarding Aircrack-ng, but of course can't share info or even tools during the pre-qualifying or regular games. Correct.
Correct.
So, yes. So, yeah, we would like to definitely answer that. You cannot talk about tools, tactics, procedures, anything like that. You're just giving it away.
Yeah, definitely be careful about that. And NCL does do a cheating audit. Like, they will know if you cheated. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. Do it on your own merit. It feels better anyway, You don't want to win from cheating. It's not as enjoyable.
Oh, okay. So it looks like there's some chatter over in the chat about Burb. Burb is definitely for web pages. Okay, here it is. Yeah, it's a tool that you run that it does its own thing. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So, yeah, it's kind of built-in logic. It just does its thing. Let's see. We have another question coming in from Patricia, and she asks, do those files, the file.cap, wordless.txt, exist in your operating system, or do you have to download them?
So wordless.txt, you'll probably, any kind of word list that you download, that's kind of just, I put, random names in there. So the word list you'll have to download. The file.cap is something that you'll be provided during the games. That's the file for the challenge, which is why I'm not giving you guys anything, because I'm not gonna, just put a game file out into the internet because I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So the Cyber Skyline does quite a bit of work in preparing these challenges and everything, and they do reuse them for outside of the National Cyber League. So all of that stuff is copyrighted material. That's why we ask that you don't share it or anything like that outside of the National Cyber League or outside of your teams. So definitely. Let's see. Oh yeah, sorry. I got distracted. Yeah, definitely. You are going to need to. So they will give you the packet capture to download, Patricia, and then you'll be able to open it up. But the word list you're going to have to come up with on your own.
Yeah. All right, we are getting over an hour here, so we think we probably need to start wrapping this up.
Okay.
I know it's pretty late on our end, so.
Yeah, someone's asking if the Burb is the same as Burp Suite. I haven't used Burb. If there is a Burb out there, I'm not familiar with it. I have used Burp Suite before, and it's basically a proxy tool. It catches your web requests and everything, but I'm not sure what Burb is. So if anyone knows about Burb and that's some way of breaking wireless, if they could drop that in the comments section, let us know. I've never used the tool, but it's always great to get new resources. So.
Yeah, nothing's coming up on Google search. I think they meant Burp.
It might have been Burp Suite, yeah.
I think they meant Burp.
So, don't forget in Cali Rock U, wordless is zipped by default, and you have to unzip it to use it. That's a great tip, Rob. Thank you for that. All right, so our question queue is empty. We're just over the hour mark, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'd like to thank everybody for showing up and asking questions. We try to make it as interactive as possible, but definitely we do put most of the information out on Tuesday in the blog. So you don't want to neglect the blog. I know videos are great to watch, but the blog will have screenshots in it, tools, to use. And we try to keep them, pretty short, so they're not going to be, very long to go through or try to figure out. Yeah, we don't want to overwhelm people, definitely. So hopefully everyone got something out of this. I know that, it might have been a little bit light for some people what they were looking for, but, I think it's a good intro to wireless access and gives you a good idea of what you should start studying now so that you can be effective in the games. So thank you for the blog and thank you for, co-hosting with me. We'll have to see, what Kate thinks about it all when she gets back.
Yep.
Okay, so
right.
Thanks everybody, appreciate it, and also thanks to the person who finally gave me my nickname. I appreciate that. I think I'm going to adopt it. From now on, Mako is actually a thing, so appreciate the nickname. I mentioned in one of my prior broadcast that I didn't have a proper hacker name. And they're like, well, your last
I
name's
don't have
McGill.
one
You
either.
just go with Mako, you know? So I love Mako. I love sharks. I love everything, you know? So yeah, Mako's a thing now. And I definitely appreciate
come up with anything for me, that'd be great. Because I've literally never had like a gamer tag, anything like that in my life.
Okay. So I got mine. I got mine
That's
from our user community. So I'm asking the same thing from the user community. We need a good hacker name, a good, you know, handle, alias, whatever you want to call it, for
Yes.
Jeana here. And, you know, yeah, we'll take all the comments you have on that. So until next time, thanks for attending, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.